What's inside a pimple? 7 acne types and effective ways to treat them. Pimples and acne are very sensitive topics for a lot of people. Unfortunately, there are only a few of lucky ones who do not face this important problem. Because this topic is so popular, there are multiple questions surrounding it. For example, what's inside a pimple? Is it advisable to pop it? There's a lot of things you may do wrong without even knowing about it. So, Brightside found the answers to all the questions and presents you. Here's everything you need to know about different kinds of pimples to be able to cure your acne and other problems related to it once and for all. Let's start with figuring out what exactly is inside a pimple and how does it form. Just a little bit of the theory is great to find out exactly what you're dealing with. Don't you agree? So, the first thing you need to know is that there is a teeny tiny sebaceous gland in all of your.
Okay, so what book are we gonna read next?
I don't know, there's so many.
What about science or planets?
Hi, fellas. I'm Anthony. Recently, I finished 9th grade, but I'll never go to high school because my mom decided to send me to military school. And the worst thing is, she did it just to get rid of me. You see, I know I'm just a burden to my mom. Since Dad left us, Mom has been miserable and unhappy, and I was just a reminder of the mistakes of the past. Plus, she couldn't have any new relationships because having a kid scared a lot of men away. She often went on dates and tried to build a relationship, but as soon as she said she had a child, her boyfriend would disappear at the click of your fingers. Naturally, this upset my mother even more. So imagine how she glowed with happiness when she finally had a boyfriend who had serious intentions. And he was not afraid to take responsibility for a child, meaning me. At first, he came to our house occasionally for dinner, and he seemed like a normal guy. His name was Greg. He was a military man, and he had all the qualities of an officer. He had a loud, commanding voice, was incredibly punctual, and he just loved discipline. My mother loved Greg very much, and she said that I could learn a lot from him. Well, one thing is to rarely communicate with a man like this, but it's a whole other thing when he lives with you, and you have nowhere to run from his control. Yeah, soon Greg moved in with us, and our houses saw a lot of changes. It all started slowly. At first, he just helped my mother and closely monitored the cleanliness of the house. But then he began to establish his own rules and started giving orders to me. He told me when I should go to sleep and when to wake up, and I didn't like this at all. I complained to my mother about it, but she took his side, and she said that some discipline would do me good. Then Greg started to make me play sports. He made me get up at 6 in the morning and go for a run. Do I even have to say that I didn't want to do this at all? But my mother supported Greg again. You know, I thought she was just afraid to contradict him because she was afraid he would leave. So I fought him on my own. But all my arguments with him were unsuccessful. Once, during another run, I was left alone with him. He was probably tired of my constant protests against him, and he wanted to put an end to them. So Greg told me that I had to follow his orders without question and that he was now in charge of our house. And he demanded that I answer him as a soldier. He yelled at me and threatened me until I finally said, "Yes, sir." I thought that after that he was going to laugh like a villain in the movies. It was humiliating. And this disgusting man says he's in charge now? Oh no, man. I wasn't going to tolerate that. This man had established a dictatorship in our house, and Mom wasn't going to do anything about it. Since then, his bullying became constant. Greg tried to restrain himself in front of my mother and not yell at me, but as soon as she left, he'd either ignored me or find a reason to punish me for something. The usual punishment was cleaning the already perfectly clean house. If I said something wrong at dinner or just ate for too long, I was punished. And while Mom and Greg watched TV, I washed the dishes in the kitchen completely. And it was better to agree with a light punishment, because when I started arguing, I was kept under house arrest for days. And that didn't mean that I just sat at home or couldn't go out with my friends. Greg's version of house arrest is when he locked me in my room, took my phone, and turned off the internet. I could only go to the toilet and eat. Thank God he even let me do that. Greg shouldn't have punished me like that because I had a lot of time to figure out how to get back at him. And during another house arrest, I came up with a great revenge plan that would help me get rid of him forever. To do that, I had to break up Greg and my mom. And here's what I did. I managed to steal his phone once. I created a new contact, entered my number there, called it Lisa, and put a photo of some girl on his contact. Oh yeah, you can find a lot of interesting stuff on the internet. Then I quietly returned his phone and began to write him messages on behalf of the girl. I made up a story about this girl seeing him go for a run with some boy every morning, and she really liked to watch him. Then I started writing that she found him very attractive and blah, blah, blah. Basically, other disgusting stuff. And you know what? He started answering me. You dirty scoundrel. That was the real him. A cruel and greedy womanizer. He asked for more and more pictures, and I sent them to him. But this was not the end. Once when we were having dinner, I noticed that Greg's phone was on the table. It was the perfect moment. I said I had to go to the bathroom, and as soon as I left the kitchen, I took out my phone and called Greg. Of course, at that moment, the phone showed a photo of Lisa, and my mother saw it. I heard the sounds of a fight, and I thought that my plan had worked. Greg tried to justify himself. He said that the girl wrote to him and sent him different photos. He said that it was a mistake, and he was going to call her right now and tell her to stop. Oh, hell, I didn't see that coming. A second later, Mom and Greg heard the phone vibrating in my pocket. Damn! They realized it was me, and I was trying to break them up. I wasn't just punished then. I completely lost my mom's trust, and Greg became a total monster to me. He then began to treat me like a real soldier. He yelled at me, made me do absolutely all the work around the house, and bullied me during sports. Now he wasn't even embarrassed to do it in front of my mom. He could easily humiliate me in front of her. And my mom supported him in everything. Yeah, my mom was mad at me too, because I had tried to ruin their relationship. And she gave full control of the house and me to Greg. Actually, I think my mom did it because she was desperate. She had been very lonely for a long time, and now that a man appeared in her life, she was ready to do anything to keep him close, even if that man was mocking her son. But soon, he went too far. One evening, there was a terrible thunderstorm. I was watching everything from the window, and I was glad that I was sitting in this warm house while this awful weather was going on outside. Suddenly, Greg came over and told me to get ready for a run. What? Jogging in this weather? He must be out of his mind. I started arguing with him, but it only made him madder. I didn't seem to have a choice, and after 5 minutes, I was really